Hello, everyone, and welcome to Survivor Showdown. I'm David Johnson, your host, and we're back with another episode. We have three panelists, one returning, two newbies battling it out in Survivor-related debates, trying to prove their arguments are better than the other two. So, let's meet our three panelists. We first have Mark Kelzer. How are you doing?
I'm good. Mark Kelzer here. Yep. I am just feeling okay, and I have not podcasted in over a year, so this is me getting rid of all my nerves.
All right. Then we have Grant DeYoung. How are you doing?
I'm pretty great. I have not podcasted in my entire life, so new experience for me, and we'll see how it goes.
All right. And finally, we have a returning player. He's coming back to win this time. He lost in the tiebreaker. It's Tyler Kakuno. How are you doing?
Good, how about you? And I definitely should have won the first time. But I was the star.
Winner bashing.
Okay.
No.
There's a reason why you got invited back first before the other two, you know.
Exactly. I was actually invited back before Kyle, but I could not make it.
It's true. It's true. So
He's a man with something to prove.
Well, but
Yeah.
I thought Tyler was getting the winners at it. I really got that impression. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't always work out.
yeah.
Sometimes
right.
people lose. Like, did you see last night's episode? They're not always the best for them.
Yeah.
Sometimes the what? Sorry.
The pretty people lose.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rip Anna.
Well, we have a whole tribe called Brains. Inevitably, all but one of them is going to lose eventually. So.
So we have the three here. We are going to have 5 questions about Survivor. They're going to give opening statements. They'll then have a free-for-all where they can claim why theirs is better and the others are worse. And then we will have closing statements. I will award a point based on 3 criteria: facts, creativity, and passion. And we will see who comes out. If we have a tie after 5 questions, we will have a tiebreaker. So last episode it didn't go to a tiebreaker. Tyler's one, it did, so will be interesting to see how it goes. But we're going to start with our first question, and it is this. Which 2 survivors had the best romantic storyline? So we're going to have your guys' opening pitches. We're going to start with Mark, then go to Grant, and finally Tyler.
Okay, you said most romantic or best romantic?
Best romantic storyline.
Best romantic storyline. Okay, so yeah, this is a tough question because romance, I feel, is one of those things that CBS always wants to happen, and they oftentimes try to force it, and it's just, it doesn't really ever happen out because people, their eyes on the game more than it is on the actual relationship. I thought about putting in a joke answer of Jeff Probst and Julie Berry. But that's all off screen, you see. There's like one bit where Julie's got like the Jeff Probst written on there, like Indiana Jones on her eyelids, or was it a tattoo? I forget which. But basically, in point is, a lot of the romance happens off screen. So I'm kind of going with half serious, half joke answer. Sophie Clark and Albert didn't fact check his last name. I know, I'm sorry, but you get the idea. Sophie and Albert.
It's Distrayed, if that helps you.
Yes. So, Distrayed, what does that mean?
That's his
The
last
Strainer.
name.
The trainer. Okay, whatever. So, anyways,
It means
these
0
two,
votes.
they were never outright romantic, but they really kind of followed the whole path of a married couple. Every stage, they got together. They were all happily in a nice, happy, tight alliance, and then they had their adopted son, which was Coach, and then they started to scheme against each other. They started to try to kill each other at several points, and no matter how close they got to killing each other, they always wound up back in the same alliance, back together again. And there was all these questions, just who was calling the shots in this marriage or this alliance, or who was closer to Coach, our child, between Albert and Sophie. And eventually, one of them won, and they both seemed to kind of go on interviews and saying, "I'm the one that should have won. I'm the more the alpha in that relationship." And so they just had the full arc, I think, of a married couple, including the divorce where one gets all the money and then the other one just walks away with no votes.
All right. So, Grant.
All right, you keep Queen Sophie's name out your mouth. No, I'm just kidding. The romantic storyline in Survivor history is Coach and Jerry. Obviously, these two are fantastic characters in their own right, and in a good romance, you don't have the focal point isn't their relationship necessarily, but you need like two compelling characters in that relationship, and Coach and Jerry are both very great characters. But they bring out the best in each other and they make each other better. And let's be honest, who predicted that one going into Heroes versus Villains? Not this guy. So it's unexpected, but it's good. And we can say they made each other better because, Jerry would go on to go fourth in Heroes versus Villains, and Coach would help her out there. And if she made it to the finals, Coach would probably be pulling for her to win, and she probably would have won against any of those finalists. And then Coach, goes on to get second in South Pacific, which you just talked a lot about. And he could have won that season if he'd been smart about who he'd taken to the end and if he had fessed up his actions. So we can say that they made each other better as a result of their relationship. And even though they're not still together in real life, obviously we had a lot of fun watching these two zany characters on the island together. So we had a lot of fun with that. So Coach and Jerry, fantastic romantic relationship from start to finish. It's unconventional. It's cute. You can ship the heck out of it. It's awesome. Done.
All right, Tyler.
I was also going to send in a joke answer. I was going to say Will Simpson Shireen.
Oh,
Go with it. Come on. It's not too late.
All right, don't come after me, Shireen. Don't. But so
you need to stop those microaggressions against her, man.
Are we gonna have any serious answers to this question?
Triggered. I think as Survivor fans, sometimes we don't want to go with the obvious answer, and I think on the surface, there's always something better if you dig deeper. But the truth is, sometimes in life, the obvious and simple answer is usually the best answer. And I think there's only one true romantic storyline in Survivor, and that is Rob and Amber. They are married today. They came on the show. They did not know each other too well. They had these flirtatious things. They were two young, good-looking people, and they formed a showmance on the island, which breed into a marriage. They weren't just a romantic relationship, though. They were a romantic power couple. The power couple you see in high school movies and workplaces. They were essential. They were the king and queen. And I don't think there's ever been a duo as dominant on one season as those two. And even to tie the whole thing over, to end their romantic relationship on Rob proposing to Amber at the reunion, and that was a big moment. That was huge. You may not like them, but if you're gonna be in a relationship with someone and you want to make it a big deal, propose to them on live TV. That was pretty cool.
All right, so we have Sophie and Albert versus Jerry and Coach versus Rob and Amber. Let the fight begin.
Well, here's my first thing about Rob and Amber is here's the biggest thing I got with all romantic comedy movies. They always end when they get together, and to me that's not the story. I mean, that's the thing is, yes, the Friends had this problem where they couldn't just tell the story of Ross and Rachel together for 10 seasons. They had to bring them together, then break them up, then bring them together, and immediately break them back up. And so, to me, a good relationship story, it has arcs, it has pits and valleys. And Rob and Amber, there's kind of this sense, first, they know each other already before the season began. We all know that. And they kind of just met on the island, fell in love, and that's kind of it. The real arc of All Stars is really more about what happens to Lex. So,
Rob and Amber weren't really fun to watch in the same way that Coach and Jerry were. We saw it tear friendships apart, and people got bitter and angry and pissed over it. So that wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't like if I'm sitting down for a good romantic thing, I don't want to be oh, I want to see people cry and get pissed at each other. No, I want to see two cute people doing cute things together and being cute, quirky characters together. And Coach and Jerry is where that's at 100%. Also, you say that Rob and Amber proposed to each other at the live reunion. Well, you know who else did that? David Murphy and Carolina Eastwood.
That's right.
You're bringing them down to the David Murphy level. Rob. Not about that.
That's an invalid argument because that's completely different. You didn't see the relationship grow on the island. You didn't see David talking about, I came on to Survivor because I've always wanted to meet Carolina from Survivor Token Sheep. That's why I'm really here. That wasn't the storyline. So you can't really compare those two things.
Okay.
Yeah,
And Albert and Sophie. That's a bunch of. Yeah, your turn.
There's nothing romantic about that. Somebody like Albert will never go with someone like Sophie.
Albert was always going to get 0 votes, and Sophie was always going to win that game.
But
that's why Albert at one point decides he has to kill his wife, and he tries to kill his wife, and then because he thinks he's got the son of this marriage, he thinks he's got Coach's control, and the coach is like, no, I'm going with mommy.
Make a point, Marduk. I like your idea of a romantic relationship that has its ups and downs throughout it, and they break up and make up. But the truth is, Coach and Jerry don't have that either. They just kind of like each other.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Coach and Jerry.
Okay, flirtmance, showmance, whatever.
If we're using it in that, none of these are valid because they never broke up. So if we're going to take the 3 relationships, which one's the best? It's Rob and Amber's. And you may not find it entertaining, but if we look back at the votes, Boston Rob, I think, I'm pretty sure he was the second most popular from Survivor All-Stars. So yeah, we may not find them interesting.
Second most. No, Rupert was the most popular.
The masses find Rupert popular. That's not a good argument.
No, I'm saying though, you may have not found it interesting, but millions of Americans did. Millions of Americans were captivated by Rob and Amber's relationship.
Good thing the question's not asking what millions of Americans had the best romantic story.
Well, I mean, that was like the takeaway, but it's just because of the final 2.
No, stop, 1 second. You said that you did not find it interesting or fun. Well, who cares what you think?
Oh!
Well, for the record, David Johnson, what he thinks is the most important here.
Well, I did find it interesting and compelling. I think it's nice to see 2 people come together and fall in love. Love is a very complex thing that we all strive for. And the fact that they found that on the island is pretty amazing in that cutthroat environment.
But did they find it on the island, or
I'm going to throw up here all this talk about love.
It's been confirmed on commentary. They barely knew each other before the island.
See, I've heard stories that, from Rob's sister Rita that the 6 of them would go out.
Incest is reputable.
They would go out for, the ballroom together. And
listen to Survivor also commentary, and Rob's sister
you gotta let me talk, dude.
Not know each other that well. If you listen
all right.
But they knew each other from television, is my point. And my thing with Sophie and Albert is that you get the whole.
It doesn't matter what you think. They're not even.
It does matter what I think. You gotta stop cutting me off.
I respect Tyler's answer because they fell in love at one point. Albert and Sophie, you're just like, that's your little headcanon and whatever. Like, that's okay.
But it's a good headcanon.
That as a real romantic relationship.
They
all right, Mark, did you have a point?
Albert's the one who's clearly picked the movie. He's the only one laughing, and Sophie's just like, why do we have to see Jack and Phil?
I want to start attacking this Coach and Jerry relationship.
Oh, bring it, brother, bring it.
Jerry was never attracted to Coach. He thought he was weird. It was Coach was infatuated with Jerry. That's not romance. That's infatuation. That's a completely.
That's still a romantic story, okay? Even if it's not.
It's a romantic story the way a '60s romantic story is romantic.
That's not a romantic story.
It's all in the guy's head.
They were cute together.
They were not cute together because they were never together. That's the thing. They were together. It was just like Coach and Albert.
That seems like a pretty big pitfall.
Yeah, they were never.
I have to disagree.
Rob and Amber were the only ones who were together.
I mean, the final word was Jerry voting off Coach, and so that's where the story ends. And then Jerry continued on for the rest of the movie phase.
Tragedy.
The best thing. If the question was, what's been the best attraction or flirtation or infatuation on the show? Sure, but they were never a romantic couple. They were never a pair.
It's been a while since I've seen Heroes Villains.
I would argue if we're going just
Albert, you may not find Rob and Amber entertaining from your perspective, but they are the only ones who were actually a romantic pair. And that was.
All right, I'm going to end it here.
Okay.
We're going to do our closing statements. So we'll go Mark, Grant, Tyler. Quickly sum up sort of the storyline, the romantic storyline of your couple.
Well, basically, the great thing about Sophie and Albert is that it's all on island. It's not, I knew this person from on television. They just met each other when the game started. They got together. They hooked up. They adopted a son, Coach. Then they had some growing pains. They had some times where things got a little dicey. They vote different ways. They went to a movie and only one of them really liked it.
Cinema dates, never a good idea.
Together. Well, sorry, what was that?
Cinema dates, never a good idea.
Exactly. Especially, yeah, standard dates especially. So they had those pits and valleys. They had one point where Albert wanted to kill Sophie, and he went to the son, said, "Son, we got to get rid of Sophie, or we got to get rid of Mommy." And then the son was like, "No, I'm actually closer to Mommy." And so Albert lost that. And then finally it ends with the divorce, where Sophie taking $1 million and the son, and then Albert just kind of sits there by himself thinking he was the most beloved member of the family. So there's a whole narrative here, and the best thing about this narrative is that it's all on screen. It's got an ending, it's got a beginning, it's got a middle. It's maybe not as purely romantic as Rob and Amber, which is, yes, the very safe answer in terms of pure romance. I cannot dispute that is the most genuine relationship of romance on Survivor, and I don't believe this narrative people like to put on that Rob only dated her because of she was like the final two. No, I don't believe that. I do believe they are in love, but it's not as interesting a story. That's all I have to really say on that. It's the obvious story. They meet, they fall in love, bang. No one ever remembers that movie.
All right, Grant.
All right, Coach and Jerry. Again, that's just two like unexpected, great characters in their own right. Like, who even remembers like Amber on her own, right? Like, she didn't do anything. With Coach and Jerry, you have the coming together of two fantastic characters, and their relationship is good. They're cute together. They make the villains camp great along with some other people. And then, yeah, maybe she votes him out. Whatever. They had a great time on the island together. It was a fun little, like, romp, and it's not all serious and boo-hoo, tear-jerky. It's good. Good story.
All right, Tyler.
All right. Yeah, just want to say that for my closing arguments, those two don't have real romantic relationships, so I feel like it's more of an infatuation. And that's what I'll say about theirs, but I'm here to defend my point. I think Rob and Amber falling in love in the island is actually more incredible than what we even saw on TV. It's such a cutthroat, harsh environment, and to find someone you truly love, when All Stars is a very difficult season, they're playing with their friends, but they still came together. They didn't know each other that well. And for Rob to betray Lex, one of his best friends, for this girl, he's basically had a close relationship for maybe now, I don't know, what was it, like 21 days? That's insane. He literally broke up one of his best friends for her. It shows the power of love and how important it is. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in love, but it does something to you, and it's very interesting and complex. You may find it boring, but I feel like if you can really relate it to you in some of your real world situations of like choosing friends for love or what you sacrifice of love, it's completely compelling. He got her a car on the show. He took her on her award, and she also got a car. He proposed to her and the final two, and that it was a giant moment. And if you look back at the best moments and the biggest moments in Survivor history, Raw proposing to Amber is up there on most lists, unless you're one of those Romber haters, which there's a lot out there. And like every interesting and great relationship, you have people who love them and people who hate them. I can say there's a lot of people who say, you know what, I hate that Coach and Jerry relationship because it doesn't exist. There's a lot of people who say, I hate the whole Sophie Albert love story because it doesn't exist. And that's my final point.
They just hate Sophie. So, yeah.
All right.
Sophie's name out your mouth.
Very good opening round. I must say you all made very good arguments, and this is a tough one. You have, I think, Mark, you did the best job of selling a storyline from beginning to end of a season, so I did agree with that. However, the romance is little to none, which is this dichotomy that I'm struggling with. Grant, I think you did a very good job of just doing this sort of little fun, light, quick sort of romance thing. And if that's the thing you like, that I think that's a very good choice. And then you have the quintessential Rob and Amber, and I think you could actually have sold it more, Tyler. Talk more about the storyline of them getting separated on the tribes and them being away from each other. That's their pitfall, and then getting reunited and going through that. But I think obviously the strongest thing is that they got proposed and got married, at the end of it. and they even had their own CBS wedding special. So it's really.
Hold on, anyone out of this group see that special, just for the record?
I
No.
was,
No.
I was like,
I watched like 5 minutes. And
No, David.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I was like, this is not worth my 2 hours or whatever this special is.
It's not part of the Survivor canon.
So I think if I broke it down, the best romance would have to be Tyler. Best storyline would have to be Mark. So I'm struggling with which one to give it to. And I think Tyler, you still mentioned some storyline, whereas Mark, there wasn't really any romance. So I'm gonna have to give the first point to Tyler.
sure, man.
Okay.
Thank you.
Easy answer.
I stand by my choice because there's not a lot of real romance on Survivor. That's the biggest
That's
myth.
why I thought I have to get Rob and Amber. That's like.
I mean, I suppose I could have picked Jeff and Kim from Palau, but
You could go with the cheating ones where you just go to like the Blood versus Water and Tyson and his girlfriend.
Oh,
What's her name?
boring.
Who cares?
like I'm
No.
sorry, but
You
I don't
gotta
remember
go
a damn
with,
thing about Rachel Folger.
You gotta go with Rupert and Laura from All Stars.
I thought this one would have been I almost said Colby and Jerry.
I
I thought about that one too,
that
but
would've
it
been
had a
Yeah.
nasty breakup. Now, just one thing before we move on, I got to get to what is this, Grant? You keep saying about "Don't I Dare" Sophie or whatever. I couldn't quite hear
Oh
that.
no, I'm a big Sophie fan.
Oh, so am I.
Is all.
Okay.
Right on.
I'm not here to bash Sophie, so.
All right, so let's move on to question number 2. What old school Survivor challenge should they bring
All right.
back? All right, so it has to be from one of the earlier seasons. What should they bring back to a more recent season? We're going to start with Grant, then go to Tyler, and finish with Mark.
Okay. If we're being real, there's only one answer here, and I'm glad I took it first, and that is hands on a hard idol. I mean, this is the quintessential final Survivor challenger. It was for a little while. And it even set the archetype for, even though they'd vary the premise, it still set the archetype for the final immunity challenge for up until, like, Tocantins. I think Heroes Villains is when they started doing non-endurance final challenges. So, like, even the concept was powerful enough to stick around for 20 seasons. But this is the best one. Hands on a hard idol is the best, like, endurance challenge of its type, because it's just willpower and determination. You can beast your way through a lot of the other challenges if you're like a better runner or you have a better memory or whatever. But this one is just, if you want to win it, you are fully capable of doing so. If you're on the outs and no one's going to take you to the final 2, you can still get there. Like, this is just pure willpower, and I really admire that about a challenge. In addition, there's still a lot of great strategy involved with this challenge. We all think back to Richard Hatch during the first finale and knowing the various combinations of final 3s and what he had to do and that he had to step down. So it takes a lot more thinking, and it's a lot more cerebral than a lot of other challenges, which I enjoy. Because nowadays you don't get that drama with a final immunity challenge. It's just, run, solve a puzzle, boring. Give me like something worth watching. Give me something that anyone can win, and give me some. But you can still plan around it if you're like a strategic enough thinker, which I really appreciate.
All right, Tyler.
I'd just like to first point out that there was a factual error.
Oh.
Statement. He said that there's only one real answer to this question.
Oh.
That is untrue. There is multiple answers.
It was hyperbole, for the record.
That is factually incorrect, my friend.
Hyperbole stolen out the ears here.
I'm just saying that we're supposed to be factual. One of those was the loved one challenge that they had in Africa and in Pearl Islands, where the loved ones would answer a question about the other, and they would see if their answers match. Like, for example, what is your most embarrassing moment? And then, Big Tom's wife said he doesn't have any, but Big Tom said when he had, like, crusty underwear and there was, like, a neighbor that. I think what Survivor is missing, fun, lightheartedness. I think that's a big thing why the show is going downhill. And we don't get to know the characters as much as real people. We see them as extreme over-the-top characters on TV, i.e. Philip, who's not even real, like he's exactly. And we see these
Fictional
super
character.
challenges with like whose storyline is like, I need emotion, oil can, Spencer. It's completely lame. And
No,
I
he's
think,
growing as a person, Tyler.
and I
That's
think
so.
challenges where you learn more about them, even just the little things like, they have like a special thing with their mom or dad or boyfriend or girlfriend. It's really fun. You get to know the contestants more, and it's actually a fun challenge to watch. I think a lot of the challenges are quite boring to watch, and a lot of people do skip over the challenges. No one would skip over that challenge. It's very entertaining, and that's why it's my answer.
All right. Mark.
Two very good answers. I actually really like these answers. We're very much on the same page here. So for me, a great challenge has to do a couple of. I think Tyler was motioning because he has to get up. Never mind. I thought he had a point to make. Anyways, I'm looking at an empty room. So a challenge has to do a couple of things. First off, it should be simple. So many of these modern challenges, they have, first here's the leg where you're running, and then here's the swimming leg. And then, to make it all meaningless, we're going to end on the puzzle leg. Sometimes it ends on we're throwing things leg. But the point is that there's no idea behind the challenge. It's just 3 or 4 different challenges just strung together, and only the last part of the challenge matters. So for me, a challenge has to be simple. It also should look epic. That was the most amazing thing about early Survivor, is that you look at those first couple challenges of even Survivor Borneo, the Quest for Fire. It's just an amazing visual image, those helicopter shots with the torches. It looks cinematically stunning. And these modern challenges, because they all kind of look the same, they don't quite stick out. So for me, I'm going for a challenge that is simple and cinematic, and it's got to be the Palau Tribal Challenge, where there are 2 tribes, they each got bags of sand, and they are just walking in a circle. And eventually one of these other tribes must catch up with the other tribe. Whoever touches the other tribe first, they win. It's simple, it doesn't have a lot of legs, and what I love about it is that it's an endurance. It's an endurance the same way Hands on the Idol is, but it has a lot of variables to it. For me, a great challenge also involves risk versus reward. Risk that, if we put all our bags on the strongest people, will he hold out? There's a lot of risk in that. If I'm one of the weaker members, I'm kind of, the pressure's kind of on me to hold on. So there's a lot of stakes. There's stakes in multiple ways, not just winning this challenge, but what does this do for my ability to stay in this tribe if I just immediately get rid of my bag and hand it off to my tribe mate. And in fact, in Palau, one of the tribe mates had to just do that because he was injured and he did it for his tribe, but he was not judged for it. But
Jeff Wilson references already.
Jeff Wilson, yes. Sorry,
we're doing great.
Yes.
Great podcast.
We have a great show here, guys, and I love it because it's also just epic. You can really feel what they're going through. You can feel them slogging through the mud. You can see it wearing them down. It's very gripping in that emotional way. You feel the exhaustion on camera. And yes, it doesn't quite allow for close finishes by design, but there's fascinating strategy to it. Not just who do we put on this leg, but it's like, at what point do you do the sprint? How long can you hold out for? There's just a lot of real variables, and I just love the look of it. It's cinematic. You got those overhead shots of one tribe trying to chase the other, and it's just a perfect symbolism for what's going on in that game. One tribe trying to catch the other, or one tribe falling behind, and especially Palau, where one tribe is very much clearly falling behind. It's a perfect visual metaphor. And the only other perfect visual metaphor I think that comes in the challenge was, I guess, the coconut chop. I didn't think about that one, but also the Palau Final Endurance one, where they are hanging onto those buoys. I love that challenge.
Which is basically a Hands on a Hard Idol club.
Yes, that's why I didn't pick that one. So I'm going with the bags on the backs and sticking by that one.
All right.
All right.
So we have Hands on a Hard Idol. We have Know Your Loved One, and we have Hot Pursuit. So.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Do challenges even have names anymore?
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
I
went
love classic rock.
I couldn't find any names for mine.
Yeah, the original in Palau is called Hot Pursuit. So,
Hot Pursuit. Okay.
talk it out. Let's go.
I think we all kind of love each other's choices, really, because I
can
love
respect-
Hands
I
on
can
Idol.
respect both your choices.
Yeah. If I was to look nitpicky onto the loved ones, the only minor thing is that it's a reward challenge, so the stakes are relatively low. It's kind of
Well,
like it's
I don't think. I think seeing a loved one is actually very empowering for a lot of people and very important.
it is, but you're already seeing the loved one.
It's not about. It doesn't matter if it's in. You can make it an immunity challenge. You could say,
You can.
hey, it's about what's the best challenge. And this is my biggest knock on Hot Pursuit. We're talking about which challenge should they bring back, which old school. I don't really consider Palau old school, but that's
Ooh.
It's
It was in
now-
Gabon too.
it's an
It was
old-
in Gabon
but
as
they
the
actually
land one, so they've
challenge
brought it back.
That challenge was in Caramone. So
Oh,
it
is it? Then
Really?
they-
Really?
yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay.
You really expect me to go back and watch Caramoan?
Oh yeah.
You didn't know.
Philip.
Or they should bring it back again still. I still stand by my point.
Do you think? Yeah, but like, it seems like they do. They first did in Palau, then I'm pretty sure it was Cook Islands,
Cook Islands.
then Gabon.
Gabon.
Fact checker?
They waited
No,
a
that
while.
sounds good. Those 4 seasons they've used it. That sounds good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of in the mix. I don't know if it's really gone.
Okay.
Like, I think it's gone off where the challenge is gone. Unless you're trying to argue that they should do it every season, which I would then strongly disagree with.
Really? Why?
I don't think it's not epic enough that they should do that every season. It's not exciting enough. There's so many better things you could do. Like,
Part of my thing with that is that it's
actually very few challenges
it sticks
that
out though.
you do every season. But I don't think that's one of them. And this is my problem with the Hand on Heart Idol.
Bring it. Bring it.
There's a problem with Hand on Heart Idol.
I think we are confusing the great moments of Hand on Heart Idol with that and the final 3. I think we like it so much, we like Richard's moment because it was in the final 3. That's what makes it epic, is because it's the final 3. I don't think Hand on Heart Idol works as well in the final 4. I really don't, and I don't think it's exclusive enough where they bring it back. Now it means it's a final 2 now.
Well, clearly, I think we're also kind of on the same page that we should bring back the final 2. I think we're all 3 in agreement on this. But the point,
Completely
dude,
different.
you got to stop cutting me off. You got to let me speak here. But the thing with I think maybe I'm kind of now switching sides here and joining Jordan's time because I've kind of been fact checked out of this. But anyways, the thing about makes Hands on Heart Idol amazing is that it's simple. It's a willpower game. Is how much do you want this? And it's simple in design, impossible to master because we saw even the Bullies one go on for 13 hours, and I think really production problems is a real reason they don't want to keep.
They misestimated the tide on that day. I've read somewhere.
That too. Well, they also didn't even have a lighting rig for night shots for that challenge. So I think that kind of put the kibosh on any kind of the simple endurance. Any kind of endurance now has variables that assure a quick finish.
Mhm.
But
So it's not even an endurance challenge then.
well, it is. But the new endurance challenges, they're very much about. There's going to be a quick finish within a couple hours.
I mean, if you just want the challenge back, let's say they did the Hand on Heart Idol challenge in the final 8. Is it still that exciting for you guys to watch the final 8 fight it out with their hand on an idol? Is the audience still captivated at that?
Not as much as they'd be at a final immunity challenge, but I still think it'd be pretty exciting
I think
television.
you're kind of just doing the final
run a
10
similar
Australia challenge.
10 in Australia, and it was still pretty captivating. So I do think that, and they run it at Final 9 in Palau, and that was still pretty captivating because there was the storyline of.
Hard Idol though. That's just endurance. You
That's
said
similar, and I'm using that to say that yes, Hands on a Hard Idol would be exciting because this similar challenge is also exciting at this point. So
I
there's
really
a good chance that.
I don't think a Hand on a Hard Idol would be as interesting or as fun as the loved ones where they have to answer questions about each other.
Mhm.
I think it's very emotional to watch in Pearl Islands, watch your husband have to jump off that plank goodbye because you may not know him as well as your counterpart. We learn more about the characters and we get more engaged with who they are as real people. And that's what Survivor's lacking. Survivor isn't lacking this long watch of people with their hand on the hard idol. That's what it's lacking character development. And I think we can all agree with that that's what we want more of. And my challenge would offer that, help add to it, where hand on hard idol would not.
All right, someone's got to attack loved one questions eventually, so let me take care of that. you say that a lot of your argument revolves around that, you know, it develops the characters. But if Survivor really wanted to, I feel like they could develop the characters without having to use a challenge like that. Just show like less strategy scenes and more character scenes, and then boom, now we have like fully fleshed out characters. So you don't need a challenge to do that. And indeed, you could probably design other challenges around this, like the Mixer in Amazon and All Stars, that showcase character moments without needing this specific.
And I'm going to step on to Grant's point too. Just in addition to what you were saying, yes, a great challenge. I do agree with the point. A great challenge informs the character, and there's multiple ways of doing about it. The thing that your loved one does is that it exposits things, which is good. But for me, as a storyteller, what matters more in character development isn't little details. Like they do matter, but what's more powerful is choices to make. What choice am I making? Am I making a choice to keep my hand on the idol? Am I making the choice to drop my bag and let loose? Because that's a choice that has stakes, and it tells you something about the will of your character. And what was that, sorry?
You can't fully exposit characters in this 6 to 8 minute challenge anyway.
Well, I don't think it's a bit deeper than that. I think we often, in Survivor especially, think of how Jason and Scott were treating Alicia.
Oh, are we getting on this now?
No, I'm just using this example. Sometimes we are very mean to people and we forget who they are and that they have loved ones. Now, when these loved ones come in and we see them answering these like nice little stories that they share themselves, showing their love, that's what it shows. It shows love and affection. You kind of think, oh, they're human too. It humanizes the characters on TV. I'm not saying their character goes into this great revelation, but I'm saying it does humanize, and I think that's really important in a show like Survivor. We're asked to choose a challenge that would make Survivor better, and that's what I think it would do to help build detail around the character and humanize them a bit more. You're right, they can edit in a different way so it's better, but that's not the question. It's not how to improve the show's editing, it's which challenge would improve it the most. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Hand on Heart Idol would. I think it's only good in the final 3 because there's so much more at stake. It's like you have a 50% chance of going home if you take this off. If it's like the final 10 even, I'm like, oh, gone. Well, who really cares? And I appreciate the challenge when they've done like other versions of it, but I don't think it's as important and as entertaining that the Loved One challenge could be. And I'm gonna
end it here. Final statements, quick points about why they should bring your challenge back. Grant, Tyler, Mark.
Okay. Hands on a Hard Idol is the most quintessential classic old school Survivor challenge. It always leads to an epic finish. The 4 times they've run it. Think about like last season, let's say. You know, even though it wouldn't have been a final 3, you know, how great would it have been to have seen like Jeremy and Kelly like hands on the idol duking it out for like 4 or 5 hours. Maybe you overlay some nice confessionals about how Kelly wants to get to the end of the game and Jeremy needs to like do it for his new child or whatever. You know, how good would that have been? Just like picture the scene, and it would have been so much better. So I think Hands on a Hard Idol, like, it set the archetype for future final challenges for a while. So it's unquestionably the greatest challenge ever. Bring it back.
All right, Tyler.
I think they would never do where they have confessionals during the final challenge. I think that's a bit of a statement. You're trying to change the ending of the show to make it better. And I agree that would be good, but I don't think that's not the question.
They ran confessionals during the Africa final challenge.
They did, but they did that once, and I don't think they would do that again. You have to look at it how it would realistically play out, because we could say, yeah, bring it back with the final 2, but that's not going to happen. I think with my challenge, it really does humanize the players, and with all the hate that's also on the internet when they see it, I think it's not just entertaining and good for the stars out there. I think it's good for us as an audience in the whole. It's entertaining, and I think it has a positive outcome. And there's many funny moments from those 2 challenges. Go rewatch Africa and Pearl Islands if you haven't yet. Good seasons. But yeah, that's just my point with it. I think there's a lot of layers to it. But I do think you have a good answer too, Michael.
I could, like I said, respect for both of your answers as well.
Yeah.
Mark.
Well, I'm the king of the idiots here because I did not fact check my answer, but whatever. Am I going to be going back and rewatching Caramoan even though I got it on friggin' Rogers Cable's Show Me TV, whatever? No, I'm not. So, I'm just going to assume that that's not the case and press on, because that's what a good American art debater does. Anyways, my thing about just the whole loved one challenge, I love both answers. I would sort of take a position to say they should bring back all three. I agree with that. I'd say maybe the thing with the loved one challenge, the loved one get to know or question back and forth one with your loved ones, is that we're still getting the loved ones on every season. We're still getting that moment where it's like, I love you, I miss you. We're still getting those moments, and the only thing that particular challenge does is get a little bit of exposition. And there's some good exposition, don't get me wrong. I love Big Tom just saying, with absolute certainty, she's going to say my son's my proudest achievement. That does tell me a lot about him. But for me, it's all about stakes. How do you react under pressure? How do you react when the stakes are so high, when there's a team counting on you? Do you give up instantly? Are you one of these guys who's just like, I got this challenge wrapped up? You know, the bravado of, I'm going to win this challenge for my tribe, and then failure. That's a good opportunity to hang yourself or to prove yourself. There's risks. There's real stakes to this of both emotion, strategy, and just your own willpower. So that's why I still stand by Hot Pursuit, and let's bring it back into a good season.
All right. Very good fight, guys. Yeah, Mark, they sort of got you there on the Caramoan being brought back. I was wondering if someone's going to bring it up, and they did. So I think that sort of knocked you out of contention a bit. You put up a good fight, anyways. Although you did say American Debating, aren't you in Canada?
We got a show called Debaters too, but you know, I'm spelling my last name with a Z just for you guys.
Okay.
604.
I'm wearing my Candace Wonderland T-shirt, so.
Okay. So it came down to the other two. You both had very good points. I think ultimately what it came down to is that Tyler, I think the things that you were talking about is more advocating for the loved ones and that humanizing and not necessarily that specific matching challenge. So I had to give it to Grant and Hands on the Hard Idol.
Oh, I can't wait to see Hands on the Hard Idol be played back in the Final 8. Good choice, David.
It's by definition a final challenge. Come on.
Yeah, I think that's very much clear. That's to join my alliance here with Hands on.
But I like I said, I respect both the other answers too. I agree it needs more character, and your challenge would be a great way to show that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were all very good challenges, and I would love to see all of them back, to be honest. So, yeah, I had to look it up though. I didn't even remember. Well, I looked it up before the show, but I didn't even remember that Caramoan had.
I don't remember much of Caramoan, if I'm being honest.
I blocked that one out. I haven't rewatched it either.
We clearly seem to all be in agreement that the challenges right now are just kind of the time where you mentally tune out. Oh, I can't even see any character development because all I can do is hear Jeff narrating the whole thing.
Could you imagine Jeff narrating now with Hand on Hard Idol, though? Like, how annoying.
It would shut him up. I should have thought of that for my argument. It would have shut Probst up.
Well, no, have you watched the Martin Endurance challenges? Jeff still narrates the endurance challenges.
Rudy shifting his foot slightly to the left.
Sweat dripping down Jeremy's beautiful black body.
So you remember the stories from like back then that when Rudy actually let his hand go, they didn't even know what happened. They actually had to go back to the tape just to say, did he let go of his hand? I don't even remember now.
They're like, no, he didn't. He's still keep playing.
Yeah, this challenge can't be over now. What do we do, guys?
No. All right. Moving on to question number 3. This was originally who is the best Ashley to be on Survivor, but we changed it to who is the worst Ashley to be on Survivor because there's no necessarily superstars in this list of potential.
How dare you?
So who is the worst Ashley to be on Survivor? We're going to start with Tyler, go with Mark, and finish with Grant.
My answer was Ashley from Survivor Samoa. I think when we're looking at the worst, we're going to look at, there's two things: bad players and how great of a character and interesting they are. And I think overall, she was a terrible player. She literally followed Russell Hantz, and when you follow Russell Hantz, don't do that unless you're Natalie White. I think it doesn't end well for you. she was very boring. There wasn't much to remember her by. Maybe that's because of how shitty Samoa was edited. But she was, what she remembered for being in Russell's Dumbass Girl Alliance, that's not, there's really nothing there for her. And I think overall, she's bland and boring. And I think the argument's more going to be, why are the other Ashleys better than her? So I'll let the other one.
All right, Mark.
Yes, I think originally it was the best Ashley, and I went and I looked at the list, and I'm like, how do I pick a best one? They're all okay. More than half of them, first off, they all got sick and they were voted off. They were euthanized. So, even just within that range, it's like, oh, so you got sick? That's your story? I mean, who's the best potentially good player? I don't know. I mean, I could go on paper and say this Ashley, and I could go with this. Well, she was a WWE wrestler. She could have been a good character, guys. So, no, I lobbied for us to change it to something else, and I like this idea, worst Ashley. I'm sorry to all the Ashleys out there. You guys, it's an open field to be the Survivor Ashley.
They're all pretty hot, to be fair.
They're all pretty hot, yes. I'm not going to dispute that. A horrible crush on Palau Ashley. But again, got sick, voted out. Ugh. So, I kind of had to think about this change in direction, and I went with an Ashley who I would say had the most potential. Still not a character that quite sticks out. I still don't know. Still don't remember her last name. Still don't remember her doing much of anything. But she could have done something. Ashley from Redemption Island.
Ashley Underwood.
Oh, thank you. Ashley Underwood, thank you. I'll just keep calling her Ashley from Redemption Island. Oh, thank you.
I think it's Ashley.
This is somebody who, she's not a bad player. She's not a great player. She's, like all the other Ashleys, just kind of, there's an Ashley on the season. And she kind of made the same kind of mistake that Ashley from Samoa did, which is substitute Russell Hantz with Boston Rob. Just did everything Boston Rob told her to do. And my sort of reasoning here is that, okay, Russell Hantz, whatever. There is a viable strategy in sitting next to Russell Hantz in the finals. Natalie's proven that. But we kind of saw there's no viable strategy in doing what Boston Rob says. It's like, you had a chance. You had a chance to take control of your game, and you were sitting next to Philip. And what were you saying this whole time on Redemption Island? Philip is annoying. He's obnoxious. I can't stand him. You had a chance to get rid of Philip. You had countless chances, and you didn't get rid of him. Why? Because you thought you were doing the right thing? No. You had all these chances to get rid of Philip and Boston Rob. You didn't win like all of the other Ashleys, but you had more of a chance than any of the others.
All right, Grant.
All right.
Okay. I did a little fact-checking, incidentally, and Ashley Underwood is from Redemption Island, and Ashley Traynor is from Samoa. But there is one Ashley who's just more aggressively terrible than any other Ashley, and that is Ashley Massaro, the second boot from Survivor China. In Ashley's two episodes of Survivor, one of the best seasons ever, the Ashley segments are pretty difficult to sit through. We see a lot of her whining. We see a lot of her sick. It's pretty not fun to watch. We see her get very ugly with Dave, which I'm a big Dave fan, so that's a little difficult to watch. She should have been the first boot. Let's be real. And for some reason they decided to boot Chicken, one of the greatest characters we've ever had.
Damn!
Damn! Over her.
Thank you.
So that's a damn shame. Chicken should have stuck around. So she's just the most aggressively terrible Ashley, because she should have been out. Chicken went over her. We should have had more Chicken in our lives. And she just did nothing but whine and complain on the show, which is not fun to watch at all.
All right, let the battle begin.
So we actually have to defend each other's answers now, right? Like,
no, I feel like
Ashley's good.
I think we can all agree all Ashleys are pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Sorry, Ashleys.
If we argue why the others are good, like I'm gonna make my arguments based on why I think Ashley. You see, I think you're completely wrong with Ashley Underwood. She would have won Redemption Island.
That's my Ashley, right?
Yeah.
She would have beaten Boston Rob.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I just know last names better than most people. It's like a.
Yeah, you see, I thought it was Ashley Traynor. I just don't want to like.
Yeah, no, you don't want to get it wrong. That's fine.
The people on the internet are like, no, that's the wrong Ashley, you idiot.
But no, Ashley Underwood would have beaten Boston Rob.
She would have.
Ponderosa videos and you see post-game interviews, she beats Rob in the end. They were looking for an excuse for Natalie to beat Boston Rob. They were giving her answers to give, but she kept saying, I was just going to sit next to him. Ashley is a determined woman and would have not answered like that. She was much more aggressive than Natalie and gave counter strategies. I think she's actually quite an underrated player. So, we look at her strategy and say it wasn't that good. If she wins Final Immunity, she's the winner of Survivor Redemption Island. And I think there's something to that. And I think, Boston Rob tricked her in thinking that she would be brought to the final 3 over Philip. But, that's a misjudgment. But, everyone makes misjudgments on Survivor. So I think you really butchered her as a bad player. I think she did have potential. It's just one little thing did not go her way, and that's not why she didn't win. And I think
my worst player, we can sort of define that in so many ways. In terms of worst Survivor strategic player, well, the thing is most of the Ashleys got sick and had to leave, so that whole question is almost impossible to determine. What happens if they didn't get sick?
She's a better strategic player than Ashley Traynor.
Yes, but I say, the thing with Ashley is just everything about her is defined by other characters. I actually went and did some research. I went and watched a bit of Redemption Island. And,
you poor soul. You poor soul.
Boston Rob
this man the point right now.
I'll say this. Boston Rob does make the season watchable. Philip does the opposite. So,
Boston Rob makes Survivor Redemption Island watchable? Fact check.
No, well,
fact check that.
I'll say this, that he is a good character. He's a good guy to watch. I'll say that.
I'm calling fact check.
But that's the thing, is that everything about this Ashley is about other characters saying things about Ashley. She's not as stand out as. The only reason she even stands out is because she made it the farthest, following someone's orders. And if I look back to Ashley from WWF Ashley, sorry, I'm just going to call her like that. I would almost say she is maybe my favorite Ashley, only because I actually remember her. I actually would remember her even if she was the first page.
Ashley Massaro is aggressively terrible, as opposed
Exactly. That's what makes her an amazing character.
I've been, this past whole time, I've been trying to think of a single thing to attack about Ashley Traynor, and I can't do it. The only thing I remember about Ashley Traynor is Russell's Dumbass Girls Alliance, and that for the first, 4 episodes, I couldn't tell her and Natalie White apart. I could not do it. I had to look at
I was doing my research, and I thought that Ashley Redemption Island, Ashley Samoa, I thought she was on the winning, or the Russell Swan tribe. I thought she was that blonde that gets voted off when Russell plays his idol, and then I think that was Melissa, or I don't know.
To Ashley from China. You're right. She may have been a real asshole, but she was like that time.
Family show.
No, I didn't. I said asshole.
you said shit earlier. It's the language barrier is broken.
All right, but
can I win this round just for not swearing?
What we're looking at is we're saying who is the worst Ashley, and Survivor is a television show, and Survivor is based on there's a big audience that wants it for the strategic game, and there's an audience that wants it for entertainment and outrageous behavior. If we're looking at who had the best strategic game out of those 3, it's clearly Ashley Underwood. If we're looking at the most entertaining...
Hold on. Ashley Underwood has the best strategy of just doing what Boston Rob says. That is the worst strategy.
She almost won, though. She almost won the game doing that.
And if we're talking...
You can't win Final Immunity against Boston Rob most of the time.
Who is the most entertaining? It's Ashley from China. She is. There's... I
actually agree with
call
the
it Trainwreck fun to watch, though, or good.
She was fun to watch. I like Ashley. You may know this. I think she's fun to watch.
Here's the thing about characters is that the thing with this particular Ashley China, is that you had a reaction to her emotionally. You were repulsed by her behavior, and you wanted to like her. There's real connection between audience, and a negative connection is still a connection. None of these other Ashleys is
There's no connection with Ashley Traynor at all. No,
if you were most forgettable, I'd say give it to you, period.
The fact that she's so forgettable is why she's the worst Ashley. There's nothing good about her. Survivor is a TV show. She literally adds nothing.
I can't even remember what Ashley Traynor looks like. The only reason why, Ashley, you remember...
Natalie White with a different hairstyle. That's how I figured it out after 4 episodes of Samoa.
Yeah,
you're making my point here that my Ashley could have nearly won the game. You know why she almost nearly could have won the game? Because she wasn't aligned with Boston Rob. That's the only reason. Any other person in that slot could also almost won the game.
Because they almost won and didn't.
Almost won the game because she's a good player.
Right.
No,
so
no,
she's not
she
the
just
worst.
no, because she was in the right alliance on the right team.
Yeah, she had good judgment of character for the most part. Knew who she should align with, and knew how to socially interact to make herself do well in the game of Survivor, which is
Right.
something Ashley Morosa did not, and Ashley Trainer did not.
Well, we're also talking about that middle ground, though. That she plays that game of being so likable that she has to go out, and she couldn't quite read the situation to know that there are two goats in that island, and she's not one of them. If you're going to play that game of trying to get to the finals with Boston Rob, you got to be one of those two goats, and then either try to sell it later on, or you just you have to get rid of those people who are going to control the game before you.
All right, I'm cutting it off
Oh,
here.
I got one more thing. If you were to
Okay.
go on POS or some other Facebook thing where people like know about Survivor, and you ask who's the worst Ashley to be on Survivor, most people will say Massaro than any of the other ones because she's the most memorable. She's the most train wrecky. I just had to get that point in there.
Who is she?
All right. So I'm going to cut it off here. I don't even think final statements are necessary.
No.
It's the battle of the worst got pretty intense, and I think that we could have, even without your argument, it was a very close fight, just off of their track records alone. But
Sorry,
I think they got you, Mark. With she could have almost won the game. She was one challenge away from winning it.
And Ashley in that spot could have almost won.
Yeah, and I think Tyler and Mark got you, Grant, when they were saying, that at least she was memorable and she created a reaction, even if it wasn't a positive one. So I think we're going to have to go to the one with no one remembered at all, being the worst, and Tyler gets the point with Ashley.
You didn't even attack her, she's so bad.
I should have picked Ashley Mullen. Dang.
She's hot. Like, I would have been
Or
like...
Ashby.
It was Ashley with an I, right?
It was like Ashley with two E's.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought about going with like when we were picking best Ashley, there was like this one The Sims Ashley on some ORG that's for some reason has a Survivor Wiki article. I don't know why. I couldn't even back that
All
up.
right. So, 2 points for Tyler, 1 point for Grant. Mark, your point is coming up, I'm sure. So let's go with.
Are you the Albert of this debate?
Oh snap!
Find out.
Hey, at least I'm being memorable.
That's true.
That's
All I care
true.
about. I'm a WWF wrestler, remember? I'm just trying to put on a show.
All right. Question 4. What season utilized the hidden immunity idol the best? We're going to start with Grant, go with Mark, and finish with Tyler.
Okay. What season utilized the hidden immunity idol best? The answer is Gabon. The problem with the immunity idol nowadays is there's too dang many of them. Gabon had 2 in total, which is good. Perfect for the whole game. The first idol, the exile idol, was pretty hard to find, even though, yeah, you could say like Sugar found it, so that makes it a little whatever. But at least it like took some effort, right? Analytical Dan with his IQ of 150 couldn't get it. Across the lake you see so well, there lies a sandy crater. Oh, what do I do? What do I go across the lake? What happens? So it was like a little difficult to find. Like it took some effort. Whereas, Russell Hance just like picks 20 of them up off the ground and there he's good for the rest of the game. The second idol, I really love the setup for. I don't think we've done a ton of stuff like this since, where you have to take a huge risk and let everyone know, basically, that you're going to get it. I think that took a lot of like strategy and thinking around to play it right, and it even sets up a great moment later in the season where we have Randy trying to save himself by trying to convince everyone that that idol was found. So just when you have that transparency and that kind of setup there, it makes for a really great moment that is tough to duplicate. So Gabon had 2 unique idol setups, and they each worked incredibly well, and that's why Gabon has the best hidden immunity idols.
All right. Mark.
So I feel we're probably all three going to agree again on this point that we don't quite like idols the way they are. There's just too many of them. There's just too much time spent on them. Too much meaningless time of just I'm going to go in the jungle. I found a clue. I found a clue for the clue. I found a tool. Now there's a tree. This idol exposition. Enough. So yes, I would like to say let's have no more idols, but that's not the point of the question. So my thinking is then I'm not going to go the easy solution and say Guatemala because there's only one idol, but no, because that's a safe answer. I'm going to go with when is the time I still had the most fun with idols, and for me, that answer has to be Survivor China. The thing I love about this setup of idols is that again, like I said with challenges, is that it's simple and there's risk involved. And I'm a big fan of any time that the idol is hidden in just plain sight. And what that also means, having it hidden in plain sight, if you don't remember, they had the two idols, and if you got the clue, they had this Chinese entranceway near their camp, in clear visibility of the camp. Yeah, one had a logo on it, and there's one on the other side, and if you got the clues together, it said, one of those is the idol. Which means you kind of have to maybe, inside of your whole tribe, climb up and take that idol down. And this creates a lot of drama, a lot of risk, you know. You don't want to be like George Costanza with the bread, trying to toss the bread up while everyone's watching. You don't want to be that. So there's a lot of risk involved. And the other thing I love about it is that it had a great ending for the idols. Part of the other great thing about the idols that are not the super idols, not the Tyler Perry idol, not the Yule idol, is that having the idol isn't enough. You got to know when to use it. And here you had this James character, strong as nails, pallbearer. Gravedigger. He's got the two idols just by happenstance. Is he going to play them? Well, if he gets to a certain point, he just has to play them, and then he'll be going through all the way. So the risk was, when did you not play it? And one of my favorite moments of Survivor China was just when they conspired to blindside him, and that was before blindside still kind of got a little crazy when they started happening every week. This was a time when we were still wondering, can you vote someone off with an idol in their pocket? I don't know. Can we? Well, what happens if it fails? Well, I don't know, but we got to deal with this. So it was gripping, and then the moment he doesn't play it, a huge smile pops up on my face because I'm just like, yes, this guy's too powerful. Like so many idol holders, he's got all this power, all this potential, and he's losing it. And that was the most satisfying death of not the underdog, but the overdog I've ever seen, at least within that era.
All right, Tyler.
I did the answer Survivor Fiji. I think there's a couple of reasons why Fiji is a great season of idols. I think it was very fresh. The idea of the idol was still very fresh in people's mind. They finally revised how, if there should be an idol, this is how it should be played after the votes are... before the votes are read, after they're cast, not the super idol. So I think that new element brought a lot to it. But I think if I'm looking at Survivor history and I'm looking, what's been the best moment with an idol? What's been the one thing where I was like, that was fantastic? I go back to the Eduardo Boot episode when they completely blindsided him. No one really knew how to react with an idol. You know, the horsemen of Mookie, Alex, and Eduardo, they're like, what? Let's pass off the idol, try to trick them who's going to play it. Because the idea of splitting votes hasn't been implemented yet. Yeah, Cowboy had the idea back in Cook Islands, but no one took it seriously. This is the first time we knew how to combat idols, and it was new and fresh in everyone's mind. And that's what made it exciting, is because no one knew how to counteract this. And it set up how it should be played and how someone with an idol is not overpowered. It took a lot of power away from the idol and let Eduardo be the boot. And I think also trying to think of what moments were made with the idol. Like, if the idol isn't played, what doesn't happen? And I think for me, a big thing was, if Yaman doesn't have the idol in the final six in play to take out Stacy over himself, we never get that moment where Dreams doesn't give him the car back, which was shocking, and you may have not liked it, but it was great television. It was emotional and just intense. And I think that's why I think that season implemented idols the best.
All right, so we have Gabon versus China versus Fiji. Go at it.
Okay,
So that last...
go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry.
I'm so glad no one said heroes versus villains.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Oh, they got in a fight on the bed. Ooh.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Or Karamoan. Ooh, I just reached my hand. I see an idol. Anyways, sorry. The last thing you said is that I do agree. I love the Fiji car moment. That's a great gripping moment. But the question was, which season used idols the best? And this is kind of more of an incidental thing, that because the idol existed, we got this moment. And it's a great moment, but if I'm looking at the idols just by themselves, Fiji's okay, but it's not great. It doesn't have all of. It just doesn't have, I guess, the tension or the anticipation of
I think there's
really
a
or
lot
really not be.
Eduardo Boot. I think there's a lot there, and I think the fact that Yao Man was the first one to use the idol correctly to take out Stacy was very good too. Because people hated Stacy, they loved Yao Man, and that's
Mark,
the first time correctly.
You can't like tell him that his moments are all character driven when the brunt of your argument was that James got voted out with 2 idols. Now if he had asked which season's characters like had the best idol moments, both of you have a great case. But Gabon's idols themselves, the season utilized the planting and the setup around hidden immunity idols the best. They were both harder to find than in either of your 2 seasons, or it took greater risks to find them. And I think we can all agree that's what an idol should be about. Is it's a risk, but you get a reward with it. It's harder to find, but you get something else in turn with it, and it's more strategic that way. So that's I think mine just has the best setup.
But correct me if I'm wrong. So the Gabon idol was hidden on Exile Island, or it's called an island, and we're inland. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
it was
semantics, but yes.
Semantics. It was hidden on Exile Inland. And sort of, see, the big problem I always have usually with idol scenes is that they are just sort of I'm by myself. I'm gonna go look under here. And a reason why I really champion China is that it's in plain sight. So there's all these hundreds of different questions that could happen, of things that could happen when I'm going for this. Not to mention the fact that after I yank that idol off the entranceway, everyone's going to sort of notice that blank space, and they're going to be thinking to themselves, wait a minute, wasn't there a medallion there? What? And then, of course, the natural thing happens. PG leaks this on the other side and thinks, well, maybe this is an idol. And there's a lot of a big, nice chicken and egg kind of a game here. I'm holding an egg right now.
That's all great, but Gabon had that moment too when they hit it at the merge feast. So like everything you just said is also true of Gabon.
What was the best idol moment for you in Gabon?
When everyone's on the beach and they have to make this decision, and that's not a character-driven moment. That's a moment driven by the circumstances of the idol getting played, or the idol itself.
Right? I mean, it literally led to nothing. There was no. It was,
Randy with the goblet. Tell President Bongo I run this place now.
That's
totally
a character.
That wasn't great.
It's Randy being Randy. That's all it was. I mean, it really meant nothing that they just turned the water. It's like, okay, whatever, it's gone now. It was kind of lack thereof. Like, oh, there's that, we don't care about it. Whatever. It didn't really add anything else. And where I can go to Fiji and say, that Eduardo boot was insane. It was intense. We've never seen people, talk about splitting the votes. This was new stuff to us. And it was fantastic. And that's why Fiji sticks out to me, because I feel like it was, the idols were new and fresh in idea, where it wasn't overdone yet and redundant. And it was the most interesting to hear what splitting the votes and looking for the idol, because it was still new to us. And that's why I chose it. And my problem with China,
What's your problem with China? They're going to be taking down America. Sorry, go ahead. Tangent, sorry.
I feel like it's kind of an overrated moment that James with 2 idols.
If the swap doesn't work out that way, it never happens. If the numbers don't work out that way,
I mean, the idols don't get found at this point. A lot of things don't happen, but all of these things are incidental, really.
Like, it's just kind of like James gets voted out 2 idols. He's an idiot. There was something really epic about that moment. It was just like, oh, James.
See, for me, it's the story. I'm always about the story being told, and it's not a story being told over one episode. It's a story that starts in the early stages, has the middle, and has an end. And as an audience, you're kind of wondering, wow, James is getting powerful. How is this going to end? Are they going to do anything about it? And you're anticipating something to happen. Some shoe's going to drop. How is it going to drop?
If the idol becomes part of the story in a season of Survivor, that's a negative thing. The idol is not a castaway on the island. And
the idol is not a castaway, but the idol does introduce stakes into it, and maybe that's the sort of thing that's been lost, and everyone gets in idol seasons. Is that I agree with the idea of hating idols on principle, but if the question's going to be which season used idols the best, I have to ask my question: what had the best contribution?
Idols are used best when it's not part of the storyline, and that's why I like Fiji a lot, because it's like, okay, Yao Man finds an idol, great, good. And, the horsemen find an idol, that's great, but it's not this constant thing like, oh, well, let's see the journey of the idol. There was none of that. It was just like, all right, we're going to play it now. Why did we tell Dreams? He's going to screw us over. Now let's try to, like, move it around. It was a one-episode thing. It didn't go on forever. It was new and fresh to the idea, which still made it good. And my problem with Gabon, you said your best moment was that. But that's not a great moment. For me, the Idol's supposed to make those just great moments. Not storylines, not, what didn't happen, those moments. And that's why I think Eduardo going home is one of the greatest tribal councils to date in Survivor, and it is because of the way the Idol is implemented, and that's why BG is the answer.
All right.
But the Idols don't. Oh, okay.
Closing statements. So Grant, Mark, Tyler.
Okay. Again, the question isn't what had the best moment or whatever. It's what season utilized hidden immunity idols the best, and Gabon really does have the best setup out of any of these seasons. We all laud China, but China doesn't happen if the tribe swap doesn't work out that way. Whereas in Gabon, you're virtually guaranteed to have that same outcome every time of the paranoia and the stuff from the second idol with the merge feast, and that first idol is how every idol should be. It's perfect. It's hard to find. There's only one of them, so it just works out perfectly. Gabon has the best idols.
Mark.
So it really feels like we're kind of all dancing around this one very obvious thing that we all dislike idols as a premise. We dislike that they exist and that survivors seem to have just become about the idols. That being said, the question is which season used idols the best, so I have to confront the question as written. And I feel I'm being disingenuous if I at least keep saying that every idol scene is terrible. Well, no, I don't. I shouldn't be saying that. I got to give myself a chance to say no. Some idol stories were great, and if we're going to be saying that an idol can't be a story, well, then we're kind of being disingenuous to the question as well, because now we're saying because it's an idol, this question is invalid, and therefore my answer is right. I think an idol should contribute to an emotional, stakes-based story, and part of the thing I think with idols I usually hate is when, like Tony, he has a super idol. Now he has another idol. Tony is so powerful, and as me, the viewer, what I want to see is for Tony to get blindsided. But now that he's got the super idol, I can't even root for that. But with James, here's this tough player, a strong physical competitor, and he's got two idols. And I'm wanting to see him get brought down because he's so powerful. It's just a natural way we as viewers relate to television. We cheer for the underdogs, and we want to see the guy in power get ripped down. And with James, we're hoping this moment happens, and unlike with Tony, it actually happens, and it just feels great to watch it. It's exciting. If you're not spoiled, you're just sitting there thinking, please don't let him play it. Please let him get away with it. And when he does, it feels amazing. So it's a great story with the beginning, middle, and end. That's an idol story I actually love.
All right, Tyler.
Okay, when the question, you're right, Grant, it's which season utilized idols the best, but when you say utilize, they're utilizing it to have a great moment, and that's why I'm saying when you utilize it, they utilize it right because this great moment came out of it. That's why they're utilized for the great moments, and that's why I use the argument with the Eduardo boot. And I think nothing says what's utilized best with good results. That's why things are utilized. And if you're going to ask me which one of these 3 seasons had the best results with idols, the answer is Fiji, because that's why you utilize something for results.
All right. So another tough choice. So which season utilized them the best? I'm looking at how they utilized them. Mark, you said they utilized them by hiding them in plain sight, which is really cool. Tyler, you talked about how it was the first one to do it before the votes are read, to actually, take away the power that was getting really ridiculous with the previous 2 seasons.
They made the idols the best they could with what they did.
Yeah, and Grant, you had they utilized them in 2 different ways, which was sort of unique for the season, and that they had the one on X Island, but they also had that merge one that caused a lot of paranoia and drama and stuff, even subsequently that someone may have retreated and everything else. So I think that the fact that you had these 2 different ways, and you're talking about how they both utilized and they both worked in separate ways, I'm going to give the point to you.
That's it. I'm eliminated.
I've got respect for the other 2 answers, though. Once again, I think those are both good idol moments.
You see,
sure.
I didn't even think of Gabon, but I think that's a better answer than mine. I think Gabon's great, so I'm glad you thought of that.
Thanks. I'm a big Gabon defender. I think Gabon is vastly
It's one of my
underrated.
favorite seasons, and I'm so excited for the question.
Yeah.
I wish
All right,
I'd seen
bring it.
Gabon
Let's
more
go.
than once.
We have our final question. We can either end it with a tie if Mark gets the point, or we can have someone win right here with Tyler or Grant. Here's the question. Who from Survivor Gabon should get a second chance to play? We're going to start with Mark, go to Tyler, and finish with Grant.
Wait, did I get a point that last round? I missed something there.
No, Grant got the point.
Okay, well, I don't think I'm eliminated, but whatever. So anyways,
Dude, fight for that last point. Keep it
okay,
competitive.
I'm gonna fight. Okay, problem is I've only seen Gabon once, and I wanted to binge watch it this week, but time. So Gabon is a season that I wish I'd rewatched, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But whatever, I gotta answer this question, and who should get to play a second time? Tough call. There's a lot of great characters. A lot of the best characters have come back. That's part of the problem. I was thinking Crystal, but I think Crystal, her story is kind of done. She doesn't have a lot of respect by people who know her, so I'm not going with Crystal as someone else did. Best of luck to you. I'm going to make a tough choice. I'm sitting on Kenny. Kenny's a tough choice because he's kind of a polarizing figure. I kind of feel that's kind of why I would support him coming back, really. He's not Survivor genius, but he had a lot of potential. I'm sorry, I'm seeing laughter here on my screen.
No, I can agree with that.
Yeah, he's not a genius, but the thing is, in Toy Story, right? There's this idea that we're falling or we're flying. Well, no, we're falling with style. And the thing that Kenny does is that he fails with style. And there's sugar around there to help him out. There's times when Kenny is just the loser on the outsides, hanging out with Michelle, and she's going on out. So why he's spending all this time with her? And then there's times when Kenny is in control and he's calling the shots, and then suddenly Kenny becomes too powerful. He becomes egomaniacal. He starts thinking he's controlling the game, like half the cast of this current season does, and he has a downfall because he gets too cocky, if that's a word I'm allowed to use. I've already said it, so he gets arrogant, and Bob really kind of calls him out for it. And for me, there's a real sense that this guy feels a need to redeem himself, and maybe he's kind of mentally moved on. I don't know where he's at right now, but I feel like that's a really powerful narrative that I kind of want to see the sequel to. Not the sequel to, any one of these Ashleys. Is that Ashley going to win? Who cares? Ashley's not a story I need to hear back from. But I feel Kenny, there's this missing hole that says, this guy screwed up, and he could have done it. Can he learn from his mistakes? Can he progress like Cochran maybe have progressed? I don't think he did. But I'm going to end my opening statement on that completely messed up note.
All right, Tyler.
Okay, my choice is standing at 6'3", 180 pounds. My answer is the gold medalist winner, recently taken away, Crystal Cox. She's fantastic. How has she not been brought back yet? She's funny, aggressive. She gives great sound bites. Strategically, socially she's terrible, but strategically she does pull off moves. She gets things done. Somehow she gets people on her side. She is just everything you want in a train wreck character. I'm a gold medalist winner, but I'm physically terrible in everything. She's so fantastic. And, you say her story's kind of over. Her story is a sequel, because guess what? She's a comedy. Comedies always have sequels. And you know what? I want to see the Crystal Cox story part 2. And I'll get into it more, but there's so many great moments. Eat Your Rice, her fight with Randy at the tribal councils. It's the best voting confessional of all time. Yelling like Randy, I've had it with you.
Let me play it out.
Forget you. Go home. Goodbye.
Oh, great. And even with the, she's just fantastic in so many ways.
Nice.
Walk Hard, the Crystal Cox story.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Grant.
Okay. I have respect for both these answers. I think Gabon's a great season, and there's a lot of people, but 2 syllables. Ace Hole. And that says it all. Ace defined the early game his incredible relationship with Sugar, where she turns on him. That is perfect second chance story. Got cut by your ally early, but like you could have had a deep run. That is like excellent second chance material right there. That was like half the second chance cast right there. Maybe, I don't remember. Anyway, he's a compelling villain. He's a unique character. We've never seen anyone quite like Ace before. Oh, his dreamy accent, his like very arrogant demeanor. We've never had anyone quite like that on the show before. And plus, like, he's a photographer. Like, what? Who's other great photographers? Troyzan photographers. There's something special about these people. I remember reading he was an alternate for HVV, so clearly the Survivor producers think the same way I do. He should be brought back. And Ace has shown that he can lead to some great moments too, just as Crystal. Who can forget when he gets wrecked by Randy in the ball throwing challenge? Left, Ace, freeze! What a great moment was that. And if you bring him back, you're basically guaranteeing that you're going to get some more goofy moments like that, where this arrogant guy does something super dumb, and we're all going to laugh about it. So bring Ace Hole back.
All right, Kenny versus Crystal versus 8.
All right.
Ace, talk it out.
If your mind is anything like the Survivor producers, Grant, we're in trouble.
Yeah, Grant. Are you one of them?
You're one of them, buddy? You're like...
You're with SEV.
Oh, you want Spencer back too?
Hey, Spencer's a great character. He deserves a third chance.
He says he's a great character.
But no, I think...
Bring Joe back too.
Like you, I think Ace is a good character. And I think it's going to come down to, for me at least, who's the better character, Crystal or Ace? But I think, you bring up the point with Ace in that challenge, and Ryan's like, freeze, Ace, freeze. I don't know if that's so much in favor of Ace, or is that a Randy moment?
I mean, it is a lot of Randy, but Ace's susceptibility to that kind of thing.
Ace only good because Randy was there.
He's susceptible to dumb things.
Really plays off each other. It's chemistry.
I think there's characters who need others to play off of, and I think if that's one of Ace's best moments, it kind of says he needs other funny characters to play off of. I think strategy-wise, he is actually kind of dull and boring in that way. I don't think that's his pull at all. So I think bringing his strategy isn't that great of an argument. And I feel like his whole he's a lot like the poor man's Coach. I feel with how he was in this season and how Coach was in the first season.
Wait, has it not been proven that Ace's accent is fake?
No, that was a myth. It's real.
That was a myth? Okay.
Yeah, I think that was a myth.
It's real.
Okay.
Kind of his whole yoga thing and how he kind of turned off the girls. It seems like this is everything Coach did next time, except Coach did better. So I think we just see an improved, arrogant version of Ace. The difference is Coach doesn't have an accent, but Ace doesn't have hair.
Right. So here's my thing about Crystal. I'm gonna play out what happens when Crystal.
Let's bring on some Crystal hate.
Yes. Here's what happens when Crystal has her second chance season. Gets on the beach. Guy walks up to her. You're Crystal, right? Yeah. Didn't you lose the gold medal because of drugs? Sure.
Yeah.
Crystal. I'm voting Crystal out. Done. That's her story. She has no respect left in the community. She has no respect left in America. People are going to be tuning in to watch her lose because they are so pissed off. You know who cares about losing the gold medal? Americans. And who only gets to go on Survivor? Not Canadians. We get Big Brother Canada around the street from me. No.
Hey, it's a good
Big
season. Watch
okay.
yourself.
It's around the street corner from me, and I have no idea what's going on in there. Anyways, you know what the Americans going to do when they see Crystal on their beach? They're like, you were a disgrace to America. I agree. It's going to be entertaining watching her go down.
I don't care.
She's going to go down in a crash, and you're going to get maybe 2 episodes out of her. Maybe 1 episode because she's terrible at challenges.
Yeah, Crystal's going to have a fun 3 days, and then first boot, and she's hosed.
It's like Airplane 2. We're going to be doing the same jokes as last time, but they won't be as funny. It's just the same jokes.
Yeah, I got to attack Kenny for a little bit, though. Ken's story arc is done. He was an outcast nerd, whatever. He got some power. He abused that power. No one likes him the most.
I'm going to defend Crystal here quickly.
Okay.
I think the question is who should be brought back. And Crystal should be brought back. It does not matter how well she's going to do in the next season. She's just going to bring entertainment, and that's all you can ask from her. If it's 1 episode or 13, she's there for entertainment.
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5.
1.5.
That's all you're getting. She'll be
She's
guilty
gonna be
evacuated.
evacuated from the season.
I think we can all agree. Like everyone's wondering, how'd you win the gold medal? You know what the answer was? Because she
I
was
think
pushing
if
drugs.
you want to argue how well they'll do when they come back on, Ace isn't going to do that well either.
He's gonna last longer than one episode.
I didn't even know about that. He's just a naturally unlikable guy. People do not like Ace, and he's not involved in the community enough where he's going to have these pregame alliances. So but we're not going to get into that because that's not the questions. Who should be brought back? Crystal has a bunch of moments. She delivered from when she first got out there and delivered till when she left. She is amazing. She's one of the best characters they've ever had. The fact she hasn't been brought back is insane.
Yeah, but you kind of got to stack Crystal's tribe.
And you see who should be brought back. She is almost on every single list, and there's a reason for that because she is incredibly entertaining. She is hilarious. She's
But
funny.
the only way you can bring Crystal back is that you gotta put her on the Trainwrecks tribe next to Philip and Lil and all these other horrible players.
Lil
who have no
Morris
chance.
for second
Even if she even has
chances,
a chance.
Wait. We got to focus on Kenny here, and I'm gonna go on my Kenny rant, and I don't want to be interrupted.
Yeah.
Kenny is my least favorite person who's ever been on Survivor. He is terrible.
Really?
He has charisma. The amount of Kenny has is the same as the amount of charisma I have in my pinky nail. He is terrible. The way he talks to the camera is like, she's kind of hot, so I'll align with her. Terrible.
Michelle Chase was like an 8 out of 10 at best.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't even matter how hot she was. The fact that he destroyed the tribe's
I like the show.
He's a horny little boy, and he's the exact reason why the gamer community sucks. He's a horrible idol for them.
Was he Gamergate pro or anti?
Rob is a podcast. He has no charisma at all. He's not interesting. He's just a socially awkward person. You want to put nerds on there, but the difference between the nerds they put on and Kenny is these nerds have some sort of charisma. Kenny has none. When you're on TV and you have no charisma, get the hell out of there. And he's petty too. He's like, Bob, give me the immunity idol if you think I'm gonna get voted out. And then he thinks it's completely okay if Bob does this and he votes him out. He's socially retarded.
The thing with Kenny though is that he's genuine. You know what these other Survivor nerds, what makes them different from Kenny? All they think about is Survivor. I'm on Survivor. I'm Love Idols. I love playing Survivor. Big word, strategy. Kenny, he's a nerd. But you know what we need more on Survivor is non-Survivor nerds. Enough of these super fans, these super fans who...
Yeah, but we need people's charisma, though. Like, he is, like, the bottom of the barrel.
But Kenny's not enough charisma, no, but he's like most Americans. He's awkward and still figuring himself out. And I believe Kenny, out of the whole Bone cast, because of the age he played at, has the most potential for growth, the most potential to look back on himself and say...
Like he's grown a little bit.
He has not grown at all. I'll tell you why. I got in a fight with Kenny on Twitch before.
Oh!
In the head. And I told him off. Oh, he's an idiot. He's still...
What are you doing on Twitch?
All right.
Twitch is a good social media network, sir.
You have a one-sentence final statement of why yours should get a second chance. One sentence, starting with Mark, then Tyler, then Grant.
Because Kenny has the most growth potential.
All right, Tyler.
One sentence.
Crystal is one of the most entertaining Survivor characters of all time.
All right, Grant.
Because Ace is polarizing and will bring the drama.
All right. I think this is the hardest one so far.
He's terrible. He's cancer. Hate him.
I'm actually a big Kenny
He never
fan.
took roids.
Do they drug test video game competitions?
So
reflexes.
no, I liked your points, Mark, about Kenny's storyline, and I've always made the arguments that Kenny has one of the most unique storylines of going from an underdog to having ultimate power to being a villain and having a huge downfall, which is very unique. But they did get you a little bit on the, his lack of charisma, maybe. Tyler, I think, Crystal is a very huge, entertaining character. At the same time, they did, does she have anything left? Can she bring it again, sort of a thing. And Ace, I thought, was a very good choice as well. They did talk about, though, is he too polarizing? is he going to be as great the second time?
Be a version of Coach.
So, this is really hard, and I think I'm just gonna have to go on pure listing how the amount of greatness from their season, and so I'm gonna have to give it to Crystal and Tyler.
Yes.
It was very close, though, very, very close.
Thank you.
So,
respect for Crystal.
so with that,
Ace is a fantastic answer. I mean, I hate Kenny, and that's my.
That's why you should come back, because he gives you a we're done.
I hate Kenny, but I think you guys are great answers all around.
No, it was good. It was good.
I didn't do great. I didn't win a single one of them.
that being said, I would say that this is one of the strongest groups of three that we've had on the show so far. So I think you all did actually a really great job.
Yeah,
And Mark, you and I were right. We got screwed by the returning player.
Yes, we did. He knows this game in and out. It's like he knows how to set up camp. He knows how to find
all over again.
He knows how to argue things about Survivor.
But the good news is that when you guys come back, you'll be returning players. So I'm actually very excited to have all of you back again. If you're
Do we get newbies?
Did really well. I think just sometimes you have to look at the question a bit harder. I think you kind of missed a small detail which destroyed your arguments early on.
Well, the thing was also that it's I hadn't had a chance to watch the episodes. I got to know how David answers. I got to know what David picks. But I would rather put on a good show than try and win. This is not a clean water game here.
Yeah, you guys all were really great, and I really appreciate having you guys all back on. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks for 5 more topics. But before we go, is there anything you guys want to plug or promote? Mark, you got anything?
Everything I have is local to Toronto. I'm writing the Theatre Fringe show for Toronto Fringe. It's called Game 7. If you're a Leafs fan, and you probably aren't because you're a Survivor fan, we're telling a story of fans during the night of Game 7 that didn't go well for the Leafs. But that's in July. I'll probably be on the show before that time, so that's kind of all I've got right now. Not a lot of web stuff, really.
All right, Tyler?
Basically just watch Survivor Canada Season 3 if you like me. I'm on there, so it finds me entertaining.
Survivor Canada, what?
It's like a YouTube series I was on.
Because I was gonna say it's probably an org or something.
It's not an org. It's
YouTube.
we're actually out there playing the game.
Oh,
In
nice.
Canada?
Yeah. So
Where?
check it out. Good.
Awesome. And Grant?
Nothing to plug for now. If people liked me, I'll leave my Twitter in the comments, and I have 10 followers on Twitter right now, so.
All right.
I'm
Maybe
not
we can get it up to 11.
Whoa.
I got followers on Instagram, but it's a secret identity, and I can't reveal it here.
All right. Thank you guys so much. It was a fantastic episode. I enjoyed having you all on, and I hope to have you all back in the future. So.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for having us.
everyone for watching and or listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, bye.